Hey everybody, Connor here. A couple things I wanted to say before the interview. First of all, unfortunately, when I interviewed Ayla, my connection wasn't the best, so a lot of the times, despite being able to hear her and having the audio, her camera was frozen. I tried to supplement that by putting some images over her frozen picture. She does have parts of the interview where she's not completely frozen, but a lot of the interview, she's frozen, so I have images over her part of the screen. Uh, I think it works well anyways, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I also wanted to say thank you to Ayla for being so patient with me. I recently just graduated college, and despite filming the interview in mid-April, it's not out till, well, what now? It's June. But I've been so busy with college, graduating, looking for work and everything, and that leads me to my next point. Now that I'm done with college, I really want to do these interviews more and more. And as of recording and editing this, my channel's at 82 subscribers. So if you like the interviews and you want to see more, please share them with your friends, family, whoever. I'd really like to get to 100 subscribers soon. But yeah, that's about it. So please enjoy the video and have a good day. Thank you. Hey everybody, I'm here today with Ayla Derrick, who's the founder of Cave Bear Games, and they just released Plantasia, their first title. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a very long day. We talked a little bit about it, but I'm ready to
Yeah.
get this started. Um,
Yeah, me too.
so I'm just going to jump into the first question here. You went to Colorado State from 2015 to 2020, where you studied English and language arts teacher education. Additionally, you worked as a teacher candidate, and a curriculum assistant before starting your work at Cave Bear. Um, why'd you kind of decide to switch gears and go into games?
Yeah, so I kind of was like every other student, and I just didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was forced to choose at 18 when I went into college. And so I chose education because I knew I could do it, and I can. I can. I'm a good teacher. I can teach. But it wasn't where like my passion was. I didn't know where my passion was. Right. I wasn't aware of what I wanted to do with my life. And so my time in college and my time after college working in education was really just kind of trying to figure that out. And I figured out, you know, almost 2 years ago, and it's video games, and I want to work in the game industry. And so it was a pretty easy switch for me once I figured that out. Yeah, it's been really fun. I like education. I like the kids, but it's a lot more than just the kids, and it's a lot of work and not for a lot of pay. And the education system in America, like, is not the best. And so yeah, video games are having a rough time right now, but at least I'm having a good time.
Yeah. I mean, how have you seen, I guess, some of the skills transfer from education to games? Like, I feel like there's probably a lot of administrative skills in education. I could just be assuming, but how have you, I guess, seen your skill set transfer from that into running a studio and working on
Yeah,
games?
I didn't think my skills would transfer very well. I thought I would have to rely because I'm an English teacher, so I have a writing background. So I thought I'd be relying more on the writing aspect, and that certainly helps, especially with LinkedIn. I'm good at writing LinkedIn posts, right? But a lot more skills transferred than I thought, and it has a lot to do with the communication style and management, really, of the team. I think in education they teach you about different learning styles and how to incorporate those different learning styles into your curriculum and into your classroom in order to be able to motivate and teach all kinds of different students. And it's kind of the same thing here with team leadership. You have to know how your individual team members work, what speaks to them, what works for them, and address them differently in those ways to motivate them and to keep them on track and to communicate with them properly, because everyone has a different communication style. And so I think it has really prepared me to be a leader far more than I really ever expected.
So prior to Cave Bear, you worked freelance for a year as a content publishing coordinator for game design skills. How did that contribute to your knowledge of the game industry as a whole?
Well, game design skills was the first community that I found when I tried to transfer into games. I think one of the first things you do when you're trying to learn about something new is you go on Google and you Google it and you're like, hey, game design, how to learn, or whatever it is. And they are the first one that popped up. And I stuck with them I joined their Discord and their community. They have a bunch of free articles on their website, and they have some courses. And I really dove really deep with them because this was before I was on LinkedIn, but not really. And they're headed up by Alexander Brazy, who's a 20 plus year game design veteran. He worked on like WoW and League and Ori and all that stuff. And so I was just very excited that I could speak directly with someone who worked on games that I have played. Um, so immediately, like so easily and immediately, and it was very exciting. And I also, as a former teacher, I felt that their educational content was of quality, which is very important to me. And I feel like if you kind of go on Google and you search how to be a game designer, you're going to get a lot of articles that tell you kind of the same thing over and over again, and are not really adding or going very deep. Um, and so I feel differently about game design skills. And so they are also amazing, and they believed in me and have supported me throughout my entire journey. And so I really just kind of help them out every once in a while. I started out by editing some articles, but now I teach a LinkedIn networking course through them. And so they have really just been an amazing support for me. And yeah, it's where I started to learn about game design. And yeah, I learn about game design from a lot of different areas now, a lot of mentors. Um, but anytime I have like any sort of questions, or if I have a game idea that I kind of want to play around with, I go to them, and they've been, yeah, super awesome. The community is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, going back to what you said about like having like that mentor, I think that's super important. When I was at DSI, I worked with Jerry Voorhees and he worked on Halo Infinite. Um, and I'm a huge Halo fan. So the first time I spoke to him, I was like stuttering and almost like starstruck. So I can imagine
Yeah,
that, working with you, you said that the gentleman you worked with worked on a WoW and League. Yeah, I can imagine that's really cool. So that must have been a
it
great
was so
experience.
cool. It was really
Yeah.
cool. Now
Um,
I talk to so many people who do amazing things, just like Alex. But in the very beginning, it was like my first day in the community, and I was able to speak with him directly, and it was very very cool. Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, in January of 2000, I almost said 2004. In January of 2024, you founded Cave Bear Games. What were some initial challenges or obstacles that you faced in founding the studio?
Oh, did I put January? That's funny.
Uh,
Cape Bear Games officially formed on April 1st.
okay,
But yeah, I think I just started having the idea for Plantasia early that year, so that's why I put January. Um, yeah, I mean, Cape Bear Games has been a huge learning experience. That's kind of been the whole point of it, is to be a learning experience. We never really expected to be a studio, and we just kind of are now, and it's worked out, which is great. But yeah, it was just supposed to be a portfolio project, something for me and a group of other junior friends to learn how to make games and make a game and publish a games, because that's what all of the jobs were looking for. Um, and yeah, it's been a fantastic experience, and we're over a year in now. And I've learned just an insane amount of stuff that I never would have been able to learn, on articles or in boot camps, or even just talking to mentors, like being in a team environment, leading that team, the day to day issues and tasks and problems that arise, communication styles, project management tools, like all that fun stuff. It's been a crazy experience that has definitely shaped my career track in the industry. Like I wanted to be a narrative designer, but now I definitely want to stay as like a creative director. And hopefully I can find someone who will let me do that, or I'll just continue to do it myself. But yeah, it definitely made me realize more what specifically I like about games and game design, and what I want to impart on the industry. Um, and I feel more prepared to continue my journey.
awesome. Um, you know, in April, like you said, it was April. So since April of last year, the Cape Bear LinkedIn page has shot up to nearly 30,000 followers.
Yeah.
How has it felt to receive such a substantial following? And I had originally thought it was like a year and a few months, because I thought it was January, but you said it
Right.
was April, so it's just about a year now. So how does it feel to have grown your following in just a year to that high amount? And what do you, I guess, what would you contribute to your success in that aspect?
A lot of it is luck. really. I mean, so April 7th is when we introduced ourselves to LinkedIn as a studio, as a company. And that's when we put out our first post. And that in itself went viral, which is why we have 30,000 followers. We didn't get 30,000 followers off that one post. We got like 2,000. But we have been continually growing since then. Um, and it's just, a lot of it's luck. Like going viral is purely luck. I don't think anyone has that figured out in a like a formula or whatever. So it's a lot of luck, but I think on top of that luck, it was also we were speaking to a large uh, portion of the industry who was feeling the same way that we were feeling, and we said that we are a studio by and for juniors in the industry, and I just said that because we happen to all be juniors, and again, we all felt that kind of resentment and disappointment in the industry for not really giving us a chance at this current moment in time. Um, and so it was nice to kind of like dedicate the studio to that. And that is why I think we took off, and why a lot of people continue to follow us because they like seeing that we took things into our own hands and we didn't wait for permission, and we kind of just did the thing that we wanted to do. The reason we are here in the industry is to make games. And so we didn't wait for a big AAA studio to give us a job to do that. We decided to do it now on our own. Um, and so it's been really, really inspiring to have the support of the industry, at least on LinkedIn, and have so many people that I've never met in my life follow the journey. And I receive messages with congratulations of people I've never talked to before who've been in the industry for much longer than I have. And that is so humbling and really, really amazing. And I never would have thought like any of this could happen. It just, I don't know, you don't think about this kind of stuff. And so, we're not, making $1 million, but we are definitely setting ourselves up for success in the future within the industry.
Gotcha. Would you say that some of the success or a lot of the success came from, I guess, writing the code ends of that viral post or the tail end of
Oh,
that viral
absolutely.
post? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are so many other studios exactly like us out there, either entirely junior or just, pre-seed indies or just doing this for the passion. And so we are absolutely not the only one. We are just the one that went viral. So yeah, 100%. And I try to use that as much as I can to help support not only my team but also other teams like us. And that's where the partner program came into effect. Um, yeah, it's not something that everyone gets lucky enough to do, and so I hope that I can support everyone who's going through the same things that we are through our success in that.
Awesome. You mentioned your partner program in your response, and that's actually, relating to the next question I have. So, at Cave Bear, you guys offer the partner studio program that allows studios to kind of share knowledge, connect with each other, and more. You've also got the Discord where a lot of the studios come together to meet and network. How do you plan to kind of advance the partner program and grow it in the future as Cave Bear continues to expand and grow?
Yeah, I it's grown very quickly. And I'm the only one really working on the program. And so it has succeeded really despite me. And especially since Plantasia recently came out, I've been very busy and the program has been a little bit stagnant. Thankfully, the core basics of it, the ability to recruit volunteers and the community itself are self-serving and self-reliant so that they don't need me to continue working. So that's good, and that's why I think we've been continuing to grow. But there are so many ways that I think I can help more. And there are so many things that these unfunded studios could use help with. So the first thing I'm doing now is I'm attempting to build a team to help me manage and expand the program so that I'm not all on my own, so that I can get a lot more voices involved, and we can start planning out what is really needed for these indie studios, what priorities do we have, um, and working on those. But one thing I really, really do want to address soon is contracts and expanding accessibility to contracts, because contracts are extremely important. You should have them to protect the studio and to protect the volunteers. Like everyone needs a contract if you're working voluntarily, or not voluntarily. Everyone needs a contract. But it's extremely inaccessible for people without money, aka our unfunded studios, to get contracts, right? They can find a template contract that works for them and that's fine, but it's not completely solid, of a thing, and maybe it doesn't address some things that they would like to have addressed. And there's also verbal contracts, or verbally written contracts, which are just not great either. So we got very lucky finding a pro bono lawyer, again due to our notability. And so we have good airtight contracts for our people, but again, that's not something that a lot of us are able to get. So I want to find a way to make that more accessible, and not cost thousands of dollars that we don't have.
Gotcha. You've spoken a little bit about founding the studio and how the studio is founded by juniors, and you yourself are a junior. Um, so one of the taglines for this studio is by and for juniors. Um, why do you think it's important to give juniors a platform, and how has your studio worked to provide that platform?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm a junior,
Yeah.
so it was just honestly very selfish of me. I just wanted to give myself an opportunity and people like me an opportunity. Um, I think there's a million people looking for jobs, and all of them need help, right? But I am not able to help those people. I don't have any connections or skills or services or whatever it is, or jobs that I can support those people with. But what I can do is I have this following, I have this notability as a junior, so I can use that in whatever way possible to help people like me. And so the studio by and for junior thing, as I said before, was really just kind of saying what we were. We were all juniors, and echoing that sentiment of what we were feeling as juniors, not being given a shot in the industry. And so that's kind of what I've stuck with, is as the team expands, I can continue to give opportunities to juniors, to get stuff on their portfolio and get a published game out there. And then again, through the partner program, using our notability and using the services that people come to me with discounts or for free, and sharing them with the program, or just using, bringing these indies together, and being like, oh, this one's a publisher and a tool maker, so that they can help this other studio, or these studios can co-deb together, instead of paying another studio a lot of money to do that, like working together within the community, to help each other succeed, rather than competing directly with each other, which is what a lot of studios think other studios are, like direct competition. And yeah, sure, we're direct competition. We have multiple people working on a horror game, but like, um, I think if there's so many games out there, you can't avoid competition, but you can support each other. And maybe more of us can succeed if there's more support given.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen a lot of that support come through with the partner program?
Yeah, I mean, the main draw of the partner program initially was the ability to recruit, within our Discord, recruit volunteers within our Discord, because we have over 2,600 people in the Discord who want to join these teams. But the second draw of the program was kind of like an emergent gameplay situation where I didn't expect it, but it has worked out really well because we've been so successful, and we have over 80 studios in the program, and they're all just so passionate about this indie scene, about this junior scene. They're not all juniors, but they're all indies. So they're all passionate about this community that we have made, and so the community itself is very active, within our private channels, and they people ask questions when they need help with something, or they ask for connections or recommendations, and someone is always there to respond or answer those questions or help in some way. And so, I wasn't super expecting to have a robust community. Communities are extremely hard to maintain, to build, and especially in Discord, you're asking people to add another Discord server to their rotation, which is a huge ask. Um, so yeah, I'm really really thankful for the community, and really lucky that everyone has been so active. Um, yeah, it's been really nice, and again, support rather than compete, and they've all really kind of embraced that wholeheartedly.
Awesome. So on April 3rd, you released Plantasia, which is your studio's first game, on through early access on Steam. What's the feeling just kind of been like, generally for the studio having the title out and people being able to play it?
Really exciting, really rewarding. We this is the first time that the game is in the hands of players. We haven't really done any play testing. That's another issue entirely. But yeah, it's the first time the game is in the hands of the player, and we've been getting a lot of good feedback. We have 16 all positive reviews, which is amazing. We have over 200 sales, which is also amazing, more than I expected. I told my husband, I was like, if we sell at least 100 over the entire course of the project, I'll be happy, you know? Um, but we are, yeah, like two or so more weeks in and we're over 200, which is super, super awesome. You know, we are splitting the revenue 18 or so ways. So it's not like we're making really any money. Um, so it's fine. The whole project is it's not it's never been about the money, right? So it's always been about the experience, and that's why we're doing early access instead of a final release. Um, and that's why we made a lot of other decisions because we want to explore as much as possible to set us up for success in future roles. You know, with this project, we can say we did a variety of things, um, so that we can put those on our resumes and explain how that worked. Like we do Steam, so a lot of us have Steam experience now, and we did early access, so we know what to expect out of that. And yeah, it's been really really cool to see that the game is working as intended, especially since we haven't play tested the game. I was a little worried that like it wouldn't work as intended and that it wouldn't be a successful focus tool. But it does seem to be working as intended and people really like it. You know, it's also a learning curve. Plantasia is a different kind of game that a lot of people have not experienced before. It's a idle game that does not require and in fact does not want your attention 100% of the time. There are, you know, 10-15 minute swaths of time where there is nothing to do in the game and you have to go do something else. And that's why, you know, it sits at the bottom third of your computer screen instead of taking up your entire monitor, so that you do have the literal space to do other things while you wait for your plants to grow. So yeah, really exciting that it does work as intended and people do find it to be a successful focus tool. That is probably my biggest success personally. Um, but yeah, it's nice to be able to say you launched a game all on your own and you didn't have any help from anyone. I mean, obviously we had help, but like no one funded us, right? And no one was like, "Yeah, I believe that this is going to be a really fantastic success. You team of juniors, I'm going to give you a bunch of money to do it." It's no, we were just a team of you know juniors who were like, "Yeah, we can do this together if we try," and we did. And yeah, it's been really really awesome.
So, 200 sales in a few weeks. Um, I feel like that's just for a first game a great stat to have
I hope so.
on your resume. I feel like it is.
I hope
Um,
so. There's not a lot to compare it to. You know, there's not a lot of data out there about what teams similar to us, you know, which there are some, but not a ton, that have released a game. And they don't, you know, really publish their money stats. So I don't really have a lot to compare it to. So I hope it's good. I'm happy with it, and that's all that matters.
well, it sounds good to me, but you mentioned that this is actually something I had for a question, but you mentioned that the game has 16 positive reviews on Steam, and that's what I mentioned in the question. We're actually skipping ahead a few questions. So the game's been received as overwhelmingly positive. Um, how's that motivated the team? How do you think that will help in the long run?
Oh my God, it's been awesome. Like I said, just being able to hear what the players are thinking in those reviews, of course, but also like within our Discord where we have a specific chat for feedback, you know. It's been really, really cool. A fun fact about Steam, if you don't know, if you want to get as you want to get 10 reviews as quickly as possible. They actually don't even have to be good reviews, but ideally they are. You want to get 10 reviews, game will get more visibility on Steam. Um, and it did. Like we were averaging about like 500 600 impressions a day on Steam. Once we got those 10 reviews, it shot up to nearly 10,000. It's kind of evened out now around 4,000. uh but but yeah, the Steam reviews are really important. And so the next goal is 50 reviews. And so, and I guess we get bumped up into another visibility thing. I don't know. But yeah, it's just been really nice to see like the honest feedback from people. Like people do have suggestions and there are bugs, you know, but there's nothing game breaking and the game works again as intended. So it's really just people enjoying the new kind of unique aspect that the game is, um, and the problem that it solves. But also being able to be like, yeah, well, this is how I think it would be better, or this is how I play, and here's what would make my experience more rewarding and stuff like that. So,
Awesome.
yeah, I mean, I love feedback.
I actually have the game and I've been playing it a lot. I'll leave a review. I've just been waiting till I have a certain amount of hours or something
Yeah.
because I don't want to play it for like point 0.4 hours and then leave a review and be like, this is the best game I've ever played. I feel like it'll look more
Fair.
impressive if I've got like 20 hours or something and
Thank
then
you.
I leave a review. Um, but it's been a lot of fun. In fact, I actually left it on my computer by accident when I like
Yeah.
turned it off. Not turned it off, but like closed it.
Yeah.
I ended up like running my battery all the way down just because I hadn't
Oh
known
no,
the game
sorry.
was. No, it's not your fault, it was mine. But as you had mentioned, it's like a bottom of the screen kind of idle game. For those that don't know, or haven't played yet, you're pretty much um you have like a farm and you're growing plants to was it to put back onto a planet that have I can't specifically remember the lore, but it's like a planet, right? And you're growing the plants to put them back on the planet. Or
Yeah,
yeah,
so there's a barren planet that has died off, and you're here to restore that planet to life. And you start by growing plants. And you said farm, and I'm gonna correct you a little bit on
a
that.
farm.
I personally don't like the term farm. I don't think it's farm. I say more gardening because you have pots, and then you're planting seeds in pots and growing them. And you're not I don't know. It just feels different to farming to me.
No, it makes
So this
sense.
is a little nitpicky thing for me. So yeah, you're gardening. You know, it's meant to replicate the feeling of houseplants, because a lot of people have houseplants that they like to have around their house. And this environment that you're in, your orbital space station, your greenhouse lab, it's also supposed to be an extension of your home slash your workspace, and you are able to kind of beautify it by the plants that you're growing, and you can even use those plants as decorations later in the game. And yeah, so it does have like a climate change kind of theme to it. You know, these planets are dying for a reason, and then you're trying to bring them back to life. um, so a solar punk kind of thing. You want to live in tandem and in equality with nature while also being very technologically advanced. But it also has themes of loneliness. You know, you're in space and you are alone on the space station. The only other thing on the space station with you is a AI companion that's a bear named Bear.
Yeah.
Um, and the plants, right? So, as the game progresses, it's supposed to feel more alive and more vibrant, but in the very beginning, it's very empty and desolate and lonely, which I think is also an emotion that a lot of us feel nowadays in remote working, where, yeah, we love remote work. I love remote work. Wouldn't change it for the world. But also, it does have that kind of loneliness aspect where you were not face to face with people as much as you were before, and you're working and it's not as fun as it was before, maybe. So we want to address that kind of theme as well through like the narrative and stuff. And again, it's empty in the beginning, and then you get to decorate it and fill it with plants and stuff as you go through the game. But yeah, it's a new kind of thing that not a lot of people have seen, that it's on the bottom of the screen, and the fact that it's idle. Most people are familiar with idle games on the phone, on mobile. um, but we're different than mobile idle. I have personal problems with mobile idle, and so I try to take what idle really is truly supposed to be, which is it will progress without you. um, and that's why the plants can continue to grow even though you are not there. um, and yeah, make it into a focus tool to kind of be a companion for you as you're working, and not monopolize your time and attention, and it's just there for when you need a break, when you need some time to just take a couple minutes, water some plants, and then you're good, you can go back to your work.
Awesome. Um, I was gonna ask, are there any inspirations for the game?
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah, so Rusty's Retirement came out early 2024. That is one of the main inspiration games because it pioneered that bottom of the screen, portion screen game. Rusty's Retirement, like our game Plantasia, rests at the bottom third of your computer screen. That is a farming game. You literally have a farm. It's like a pixel farming game. But the other game that is a very big inspiration of Plantasia is a game from 2007 that I played as a kid and was completely obsessed with, called Plant Tycoon, where it was growing plants in pots. Um, and those plants grew over real time. And so you would have to kind of close the game and then come back a few hours later and your plants would be grown. But my issue with Plant Tycoon is I either keep the game up and I watch my plants grow, but they take a long time. And so there's not anything for me to do. And it's taking up my whole screen and I can't do anything else. Or I close the game and I risk forgetting to open it back up at the right time. And then my plants die. So my plants were always dead. I never got very far in progression in Plant Tycoon, but I loved the game. And so that's the problem that Plantasia solves is your plants are never going to die, and you can keep it open all day without it compromising your other work with the other things that you want to do on your screen.
Has anybody told you about any experiences that they've had with the game, or like funny stories that they've had from playing? Like, how's it been talking to people about the game who have played it that haven't worked on it?
Yeah, again, it's just like so exciting to see that it is working as intended. We had one girl who is a mentor of one of our team members and a friend of the studio and a partner in our partner program. And so she's been following our journey, but she hasn't played the game right until it came out and she got a copy. And so at first, she has a QA background, so she was just going through and looking at bugs for us. But over time, she was like, "Oh, I'm actually addicted to this game now. Like it's really good, and I have it open all the time." And that's like so fun that it is working as intended, and that people really do genuinely like the game. They're not just here for us, which is great because we have a lot of supporters who are just here for us and who bought the game just to support us. But yeah, there's a lot of people who really do just truly like the game, and that's huge. That's like really big, right? I want you know to live up to those expectations that we went viral for, and I think we have. So that's been really inspiring, really awesome. But yeah, people, some people have like 30 plus hours on the game. My husband loves the game, like no joke, which is so crazy because this is just not the kind of game I thought he would all be into. But he has like a full greenhouse of plants and plays it every day, which is so fun. He'll like play a deadlock match, and when he dies, he'll pull up Plantasia and like water a few plants while he's waiting to be revived or whatever. Um, and he'll be like, "I'm playing Plantasia," and it's helping me not tilt, like not get too mad at deadlock. Um, so yeah, it's just it worked. The fact that it's working as we intended is huge because I just kind of flip a coin, see if that actually worked, and that's again my biggest success thing I'm most proud of is that it works.
I've got it on my school laptop, and it's
Yeah.
been very good in between working on assignments and stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
I
I love
actually
that.
so what happened was at one point I made a new pot to put in the greenhouse, and
Mhm.
I had forgotten that I made that pot.
Mhm.
And so the next day I came back and I was like, why don't I have any of the materials I need for making a pot? I was like, I
Oh.
feel like I should have all these by now.
Yeah.
So I spent like the next hour trying to get everything I needed to make, a pot. And then I went to place it and I was like, oh my God, I've already got one. I have two now. I didn't even know I had the first one. So it's like a
That has
nice
happened,
little
so you're
surprise.
not alone.
Um, but it's been a lot of fun. I can definitely see how people can rack up hours on it, and I probably will
Yeah.
myself. But moving forward for the game, do you have anything exciting planned? Yeah.
Yes. Ooh, we have something very exciting. I'm really, really excited about it. We are working on it this month. Hopefully, it will be pushed out at the end of the month. If not, give us a couple more weeks. The decoration system. Right now, the greenhouse and looks one way, and there's supposed to be a bedroom, but there isn't a bedroom. Um, and so we've been working on the decoration system, and I said before that it's Plantasia is supposed to be an extension of your home or your workspace. And for those of us who work at home and play games, we might have, a custom PC with fancy lights and colors and a play mat that is, a specific vibe, and the keyboard, with specific colors. Like we have an aesthetic here right on our desk. And I want Plantasia to be an extension of that aesthetic right onto your computer screen. But right now, it's just kind of your greens and your silvers that we have in the base game. But we're working on decoration where you will have the standard options, which is kind of the green and silver that we have going on right now. But you'll have what we're calling the cozy option, and then we're having what we're calling an ancient option. And so the cozy option is more kind of pinks and purples, and then the ancient option, is following our Mesoamerican theme, and it has kind of warmer tones and greens and wood tones. Um, and you'll be able to kind of mix and match. And so we have those three themes: the standard, the cozy, and the ancient. And those all items also have 3 or 4 different color options so that you can choose your different colors. Yeah, so you'll be able to customize your bedroom. Eventually, hopefully, you'll be able to customize the greenhouse too. Um, I'm really excited. Everyone loves decor and
Yeah.
customizations. I'm really, really excited. It's a huge system that I've wanted since the beginning. It's just, not in scope. It's not in the core game loop, and so it's been pushed to now. But yeah, hopefully you guys will be able to see that soon.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure that other
I'm
people
so
will too.
excited about it.
Um, so, I mean, what advice would you give to juniors or entry level individuals who are, watching this interview and are trying to break into games, and trying to find their spot in games?
Yeah, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, get on a project. You want to have a published game. I talk to so many recruiters and hiring managers and studio directors, and what they want to see from juniors is persistence and the fact that they can finish something, that they aren't just having half-done portfolio projects that are solo built. They want to see a full-fledged game that you have worked within a team, that you know how to cross-department collaborate, and that you have finished and published a game. And so you need to be in a team for that, and you need to go all the way. Ideally, have a short timeline between 6 months, a year and a half. You don't want it to take too long. But yeah, and then publish it to Steam. Um, itch.io, works too, but Steam's a little bit more official, and I think people might take that a little bit more seriously. It depends on the recruiter. But yeah, they want to see something done. So do that. Get on a team, actually make something, work with other people. Um, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's great advice. Those are all the questions I have about Cave Bear, but before we end it, I always like to ask a few extra questions, and then I have like a blind rank that we can do. But my first question is, what is your favorite game of all time?
There's so many games that I love. So many games I love. There's Bioshock. I love the Bioshocks. Um, One that I come up with a lot and that I say is my favorite game a lot of the time is Rune Factory, the first Rune Factory. I was a huge DS girl, and I, do love Harvest Moon, but I liked the art style of Rune Factory. Um, but I've Rune Factory is a farming game, right? You have a farm. It's Stardew Valley, similar, right? But also you can go into dungeons, and they have, or caves really, and so they have of like 10 or so caves in the whole game, and you go through each of them one at a time. And I've only ever made it to the second cave, so I have not ever gotten very far in the game. And yet it's my favorite game. I probably have like a million hours on it. Obviously, you can't track that with a DS game, but I love Rune Factory. The vibe is so immaculate. But yeah, like I love so many other games. It's hard to pick just one, but Rune Factory is one I definitely go back to quite a lot.
I think that's a great choice. I don't think you need to beat a game for it to be your favorite game. As long as you've got,
I agree.
as long as,
I'm glad you agree.
well, I think as long as you've got great memories
Yeah,
attached to it. Like my
I have
first,
beaten all the Bioshocks, so I have done that.
I beat BioShock 1 recently, but I've been working
Oh,
through 2, but
good.
yeah. Um so my blind rank here, your Cave Bear games, you have a character in Plantasia named Bear. Um so my blind rank is I've got 5 video game characters here and they're all animals. So you're gonna
Right.
blind rank 5 video game characters who are animals from, best to worst.
Okay.
Okay. Um your first character is KK Slider.
Okay. I know that one. I have to blind
Yeah.
rank them now. Oh shit, I have to blind rank first. Okay. Ooh, he's pretty high up there, and I'm so worried I'm just not gonna know the other ones. So I'll put him. Is Bear in here? You said Bear was in here, right?
No, Bear's not in here. I feel like
Okay, shoot.
it's just based on the fact that Bear's in the game.
Okay, I'll give him a two. I'll give him a two.
Okay, I think
Right?
you'll
Number one is number one, right?
number one. These are all pretty clear cut characters. I think that you'll
Okay.
know who all these are.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
ne-
put him at two. I do like him.
okay, the next is Dogmeat from the Fallout games.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm aware of that. It's a dog.
It's just a dog.
Four.
4. All right. Donkey Kong.
I don't really care.
You don't care
I don't
about
really care about that five. I don't really care too
you,
much about that.
you don't care about
He's
Donkey
fine.
Kong. All right. Yoshi.
Ooh, do I want to do three or one? I do like Yoshi. I'm not like a huge Nintendo player.
No.
Um, I'm gonna put him at one because I'm afraid of what The Last of Us.
The last one is Sonic, and he's at
Okay, thank
three.
God. I would put Sonic at five, but he has to be at three.
You're
I
not a
forgot
big
about that.
Sonic fan
No,
at
I don't
all?
give a shit. I don't care. Sorry, Sonic fans. I know
No.
I know they're big. Don't come after me, but yeah, I
I
just never really. I don't think I've ever played a Sonic game. Yeah,
No, I haven't either. I think I've tried, but it's not my cup of tea.
yeah.
Yeah, no hate to the Sonic fans out there.
No hate.
Um, but that's it. So I've got the blind ranking asked what your favorite game of all time is. The only thing left is, is there anything you'd like to add before we head out here?
No, I mean, if you're a junior watching, join our Discord. You can find those volunteer teams through our Discord, but also, hopefully you can play Plantasia. It's $5, so if you ideally have $5, if you don't buy it. But if you do, it's $5 and it is a fun game. And I definitely think it's worth that amount, and you'll get 30 plus play hours on it if you want. Um, and then you'll be able to get the decoration system here soon, which I'm very, very excited about. And yeah, if you have feedback, if you do play Plantation, you have feedback, please come to our Discord. Obviously, please write our Steam review if it's good, please. But if you come to our Discord, we have a community feedback channel where you can tell us exactly what you think of the game, if there's any bugs, if there are things you want added, and we really, really want your feedback. We really value that. So please do join if you play. But yeah, thanks for
Awesome.
having me.
No problem. Thanks again, everybody. This was Ayla Derrick of K Bear Games. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.